Welcome. Oh, we didn't do the theme music? Oh, well. Jay, you there? You there? All right, well, welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's a vibe. Love this song. Hey, what up? You're muted. All right. All right. Welcome. I came in
Hey,
way early.
that's all right. Welcome back, sheep people.
Welcome back, sheep people, indeed. Hope everybody had a great week. So I want to just kind of take it all the way back to where Jay, the loud music is still on. I love
Yep.
the tone, but yeah,
Got it.
I love the tone. Good thing, oh shit! I turned around and now 4 people are watching. I was like, oh, good thing it says 0 people are watching because
Oh no,
this could be
they heard our
embarrassing.
technical
And
flub.
for those of you who just got here, things have been going great. So welcome back, sheep people. Steve,
Jason,
you say your name. There we go. And
state your name.
For jumping on and hanging out. And we appreciate you being here. It's our second week of live streaming all the latest and greatest in the world of dumb shit, really. You know, like conspiracies, paranormal events, and you know, the world around large. And I think I want to take it back, Jay. Well, I guess before we start, like, how was your week?
Well, I've had a kind of a sore root canal. Not been the greatest. Got another one coming up, so that's fun.
For those of you who haven't had a root canal, it's like literally being alien abducted. So the movie, like what is it, Fire in the Sky?
The sounds most especially.
The weird rubber membrane that they pull over him. That's like what they put over your tooth. Awful. Don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Can't recommend a root canal. 0 out of 5
strange frequencies of that drill, man.
Luckily really for me, I haven't had to undergo any dental procedures. Had pretty low key week here in the Moon Tower and the Q Zone, and but I just want to kind of take it back because obviously a lot has happened since we did our first stream. So what a time to be alive! Certainly,
and we missed the Hope Hicks diagnosis by seconds.
Yeah,
last week.
Seconds. I got off stream and my wife texted me. And like Hope Hicks has coronavirus, and I was like she was trying to get our attention before we logged off. It was like 8:54. I remember it like very vividly. I was like, oh man! And then, you know, within 5 hours, you know, at 1 a.m. Eastern time, Trump tweets himself that he has coronavirus, and it's been really kind of a rocky road since then. And now Pence might have it. That could be the scoop.
Oh, that's the new thing buzzing around tonight. I like, you know, I'm sure anyone that might be interested in watching this have a conspiracy-minded brain and instantly thought, what if he's faking it? Like right off the bat, it was so hard to not think that he might be just trying to leverage it politically somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the course of the week, with so many people in his orbit being diagnosed, like I just don't think that they could organize a fake on that scale.
Yeah,
of like all of these people pretending to have it.
To what benefit would it fake with them faking like a real viral spread? Like, wow, hey, look at, yeah, sure, this virus can sure spread. Like, why would they fake it? Faking it goes against their message.
Yeah, I mean, they just want to show that they can get out there and beat it, you know?
Right, and, you know, and obviously Trump is a habitual liar, right? So it's easy to take anything he says, and, you know, Kamala Harris actually got in trouble at the debate for saying that she wouldn't take a vaccine that Donald Trump recommended.
Yeah.
Which, like, me same, man. Like,
and
I wouldn't buy anything that guy's selling.
That kind of should be, even if you like him, your instant reaction to a recommendation from him.
Like, I mean, like, the guy's just, yeah, I mean, come on.
Especially a recommendation about some kind of science or medical procedure.
Some kind of health or medical thing, yeah, like where it's just like, anywho. So this whole thing wasn't without its dishonesty, though, right? So turns out, so Hope Hicks test. So we found out about Hope Hicks's positive test on Thursday night, right before the president announced that he had come up positive, and that she actually was displaying symptoms on Air Force One a couple weeks prior. Earlier in the week, they knew she was displaying symptoms, and she was quarantined after being put in contact with the president, and he still held his fundraiser in Bedminster.
Oh, my favorite thing about the fundraiser was that the state of New Jersey, being where we live, we know that the government has been pretty responsible about trying to contact trace and stuff, and they
it's been great.
They located about 200 people who were at that fundraiser and asked them to cooperate with the contact tracing and to quarantine, and those people who attended the Trump fundraiser refused.
All of them.
So, no way to track that spreader event.
Cool stuff. Love it. Rules don't apply to these
cool
people.
Zone, man.
What's it gonna take, man? Like, what's it gonna take for them to actually take this seriously, dude? Herman Cain died.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what he said.
Forget, like,
he said during the debate last week, nobody dies from this disease. We've been holding rallies and nobody has died. And I was like, Herman Cain wants a word, man.
Died.
Like, he died like last week, or well, a couple of weeks. Not if you pay attention to his Twitter account, though.
No, yeah,
still going strong.
Well, that's some weird Black Mirror shit right there, dude. Like that Herman Cain deceased from coronavirus is still like actively tweeting from the grave, essentially, about how coronavirus was dangerous.
And is it just like timed tweets that the social media intern like has been banking for months that just went off, like because no one was thinking about it?
Man. Like no one, like somebody had to.
You can turn them off. But
oh my God, so you want to talk about obviously the latest news about Pence? So there's some grumblings that he didn't travel to Indiana as planned
to vote early.
There was like a deleted tweet about how he had it actually. So so obviously there's a lot going on, right? So I just wanted to kind of give a quick review of the timeline of Trump having corona, right? So we talked about the Rose Garden event on Saturday when he introduced his Chief Justice appointment, Amy Coney Barrett, who, by the way, is I think 43 years old, right? So like, I mean, that's so close to our age. Like, and like, and she's going to be on the court for the rest of her life. I mean, like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was 86 when she passed away, or nearly 86, or somewhere around 86. That's 43 years of conservative court, which is terrifying when you think about it. And also, like, hell, man, this woman's been working too hard. Like, I don't know any people who have been pretty successful and haven't worked that hard. Like, so easy. Like 43, that's right around the corner, man. And like,
in this case, working hard is just willing to defend your horribly outdated political bipartisan.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like it's not easy to become a judge or to get through law school or any of that stuff.
Just to be on the radar is difficult. Yeah.
No matter what you do, you're still going to be reviled by half of the country, especially if you're dead wrong about everything, like this woman is. So, like, no amount of schooling ever is going to make her right about anything, says me, the expert, right?
It's a thankless
Says me about a woman, right? Anyway, if you cancel me, do we have a cancel sound effect?
No, but I can have it for next week, I guess.
Do you have like do we have like the Price is Right?
I got a phaser.
We need that. Ooh, I like the phaser. We need like we need the sad trombone. Like
air horn doesn't seem appropriate. I'll have that one ready for next week.
Well, we should have air horn when Trump.
Price is Right one, I think, is the way to go.
So we'll go through a quick timeline here, and then I want to talk really quickly about the debate from earlier this week, and Pence, with some stuff to read on that. And then for those of you who are interested at home, we're going to talk about a couple of other things later in the show, and we'll have a lot of fun. So if you're on, participate in the chat. Shout out to Rodeo Doctor, Dirty Jers, R.I.P. The Godfather, R.I.P. Rocket Man. Shout out to the 6 or so other people who are watching. Sign on to Twitch. Join the chat. Join the fun. If you're watching on YouTube, we love you too. Comment below. Whew. I've always wanted to do this.
Don't forget
Comment
to like
below.
and subscribe.
Don't forget to like. Please, yeah, honestly, like
you
and
have
subscribe.
to say that. You're obligated.
That helps us. Yeah, that helps us. It helps the show. It helps us, and it's easy. So I would appreciate it. We would appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. Anywho, let's do a quick timeline here. So just in case you forgot things that have happened this week, right? So the Rose Garden event, the super spreader event, obviously, of course, before the debate, right? So the debate was on Tuesday. Trump then held an outdoor rally on the September 30th, Wednesday of last week, and that's when Hope Hicks started to experience symptoms. And that same day, that next day, early in the morning, tested positive, just as Trump is leaving for the Bedminster fundraiser. Trump campaign does not cancel that fundraiser, obviously. Then, obviously, the fated time, Trump at 1 a.m. Friday tweets that he and the First Lady, of course, not to be forgotten, have tested positive for coronavirus. Then he goes into the hospital sometime early Friday morning, and then really it's just wave after wave after wave of experimental drugs. Right?
Oh, yeah.
They're like trying
that shark bowl semen cocktail.
Yeah. Like,
apparently there's been some allegedly some of what he was given was tested with aborted fetus cells, which should
I read that today.
Go real well with the pro-life community.
Bro, homies use stem cells to you're the president, and of course they'll find some way to write that off.
They'll make an exception for him. Jesus wanted him to survive, so
Jesus tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Sir, Donald Trump, sir, you're so beautiful and handsome. Please, I need you to run for president." So we'll quote a direct quote from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So
anyway, we don't want this to be dominated by Trump, but Jesus Christ, it's crazy.
Yeah,
stuff
it's so hard to ignore. I mean, this is like one of the biggest things that's happened. Like, how could we have predicted this? So yada yada yada. Trump gets a bunch of experimental treatments, leaves the hospital, not after appearing ghastly on an incredibly edited, probably deepfake video. We'll talk about deepfake later in the show. From the hospital, and then just one by one, the rest of his staff are starting to come down. Kayleigh McHenry, the press secretary, Stephen Miller, who couldn't have happened to a better guy, honestly.
Really, real pleasure to read that one.
And no matter what, his support from his base is unwavering, and it's like almost like anything could happen. Like, he could have gotten some experimental treatment of like shark semen and like turned into a shark, started just murdering people like a street shark. Yeah, like wasn't that the fake cartoon Street Sharks?
Oh yeah.
Or was it like okay, total Street Shark action, and people would still vote for him, dude.
But you know what's funny is I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, I mean, I'm familiar with the one particular scene in the movie Deep Blue Sea.
Right, of course. But so the plot behind that was that they were studying these sharks because they were trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's, and that sharks' brain cells regenerate in a way that could cause a brain experiencing dementia to become healthy again or whatever. And I was like, man, what if he comes out from this COVID with regenerated brain tissue, and now he's all of that sort of sundowning is gone, and he's actually sharp.
He turns
got it coherent.
He turns into the Ben Garrison version of him,
or just turn into a shark.
Oh
the
yeah,
Ben
yeah.
Garrison
Well,
pumped up, it's a
yeah,
similar
yeah.
thing.
When I picture Shark Trump, I picture him as illustrated by Ben Garrison.
Now I want to see Ben Garrison draw
Yeah.
Shark Trump. Maybe
Who,
we can get a commission.
Potentially, yeah, maybe one of the. I mean, despite being one of the potentially most hateful and insane people on planet Earth, you can't argue with that ink work, man.
No,
Above
I believe we've talked about how he could have gotten a job at Mad Magazine. He's just utterly insane. He really is.
Type of one,
his stuff it's very busy. Like he needs an editor, really. But the work itself, artistically, I like.
Yeah, it's like no, these are all good notes for Ben
Just
Garrison.
Like I like the Jack Chick tract aesthetics.
Oh yeah,
like
the
at
Chick
times.
tract. That's just a whole thing. So obviously the week goes on, more and more people get COVID. They insist on having the debate, the vice presidential debate earlier this week, where, as you may have seen, Mike Pence had a fly land on his head, and the fly was there for what?
A government surveillance drone.
Yeah, see, definitely could have been that. My thought is much like how I think it was Bloomberg had a fly land on him earlier in the year. Definitely just escaped from his lizard person feeding box.
Right.
He keeps a box of flies on his belt.
And or it's like he missed one and it hung on for a while.
Yeah, and he had to perform at this debate and he knew it was up there and his lizard brain was like, oh, I'm so hungry.
I want to dart my tongue out at my forehead so bad right now.
I can't do it. So interesting stuff there. That's my fly theory. I know somebody mentioned wanting to talk about the fly. So
also a theory that he has a pink eye. Did you see that?
Yeah, that the flies.
His eye did look gnarly. I mean, my wife and I noticed it like immediately. Like, what, did he get punched in the eye? Like,
I only watched like a couple minutes of the debate, and then I was like, I can't do this, man. I gotta go to bed. So that was where my head was at.
I did watch the whole thing live, and the fly moment was pretty weird to watch live. We're like counting. We're like, it's been 3 minutes. It's still there. Are we sure it's a fly? Did the fly die?
The fly counter.
But we have nothing new to add to the fly discourse except for what we've discussed already. The reptilian adjacency.
I think it's got to be the reptilian thing.
And of course, it could be an advancement of the birds as government surveillance drones. They've gotten like more high tech and made them smaller.
It's kind of like Joe Biden's nanotech earpiece from the debate, right? Like he can sneak his earpiece in to get fed the things because nanobots build it in his ear.
My favorite fly-related
people are saying
tweet today, and I wish I could give it credit, but you'll find it. Was the fly has been airlifted to Walter Reed Hospital.
That's fantastic. So, before we get off Joe Biden, I actually just read on Twitter right before the show. I was shown this tweet and asked actually to read it on the show. So I'm going to bring it up. It's from, so it's actually a retweet. So it's Jesse Kelly, who's a political Republican insider guy, tweets, FWIW, for what it's worth. The Trump, so this is kind of cluing in on maybe Pence's secret weapon. For what it's worth, the Trump campaign might want to feature Pence a little more if they're worried about suburban moms. I'm picking up a lot of chatter about how popular he is with them. And that is retweeted by Kurt Schuster, another Republican guy. Well, yeah, ready? Oh, you're great. Let's just say it. Suburban women sense that Pence knows how to lay pipe.
All right.
So
some mileage.
Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden's dump truck ass is nothing on Trump's though. So I mean, like they've already got a secret weapon there. What do they need? 2 sex pots? They've already won the Garrison vote.
It seems unfair. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like they've already won the vote of people who think Mike Pence is hot. No one's swinging on that.
Yeah, you're not convincing anyone else. The people who were gonna think Mike Pence was hot have already gone that route.
All right, so we got a lot of chatter in the chat here. So I'm gonna say hello to Red, White, and Bonar, Mandatory LSD, Diana Van Farley, Rodeo Doctor, Spartacus, participating tonight, watching, joining along. We appreciate you as always. Feel free to keep engaging with us, and we're gonna. So a little housekeeping. Last week we kind of did a little bit of catch up, right? And the format of the show is going to be mostly catching up on what we missed, bringing up to speed on some old stuff we may have talked about or topics near and dear to our heart, and obviously keeping up with what's going on in fucking hell world, right? Had some suggestions on Instagram earlier, so if you're not following us on Instagram for spicy, hyper-specific memes about the show,
we will ask for suggestions too every week.
Yeah, we're all about suggestions. Y'all know, so we'll talk about anything within reason. So within some human reason. So without further ado, the Fly thinks that Joe Biden is hot. Consecrated by Scavengers, new solo metal project from your cigarette. So thanks again for joining everybody. And all right, so I'm going to bring up our.
All right, I'm going to stop my share
here.
Hold on.
No, you're good, man.
Okay.
Perfect. I am screen sharing. All right, cool. So here we are. Wake up, sheep people. So a lot of things like I mentioned. So the show is basically going to be things we missed, kind of dive into different topics. And so we just have so much to catch up on, and we'll try to make it educational and funny. And I don't have to give you a pitch meeting. You're already here. Probably scare you away. So yeah, we'll just keep it tight and let's go ahead. So without further ado, suggested by Rodeo Doctor himself, had asked us to cover, what was it that Pope Francis, pictured here, right, had said that he would be willing to...
Not the saucer.
He would be willing to baptize aliens. So, Jason, any thoughts on baptized aliens? Interested to hear about that.
One of the things that I thought was nice that he said was that he would baptize aliens if they asked. So like you want it like with consent. It wasn't like the colonization missionary work. It was like if he specifically said Martians too. So maybe it doesn't extend beyond the solar system.
Changes the game, yeah.
But no, it was during a speech about acceptance, and it's funny because it wouldn't be that big of a statement to make, except that when the Pope says something like that, it's now the policy of the Catholic Church. So there's a lot of debate about whether intelligent life exists elsewhere and if they would be, allowed to be a part of the church if they're from elsewhere in the galaxy. And the Pope is kind of setting new policy saying if aliens visit, they're welcome to join the church, which is not a thing that everyone could agree on before. But the Pope, direct line to God and all. So it's canon.
Yeah. I mean, in the true sense of the word, it is canon. And
exactly.
It's so bonkers that, this is like conspiracy theory fodder 101. Like anyone who already believes that there's some grand Illuminati conspiracy clearly definitely thinks the Pope is involved. And if he's going to come out and say something like this, they're going to spin this in 10,000 different ways. It's just right for the picking.
Oh yeah.
So does the Pope? The Catholic Church and PR haven't necessarily gone hand in hand over the last 20 or so years. So maybe they just don't know and they didn't think about it.
I'm waiting for
somebody younger than.
I'm waiting for global disclosure, as I feel like there are already aliens in the Vatican.
Oh, definitely, with fruit fly boxes tied to their alms. So, all right. So, and another thing about this is, as many of us commonly believe, many people believe, aliens are actually demons, right? So here is
aliens come from hell.
The Pope, the Catholic Pope, who already, to many of these evangelical alien-believing religions, already think the Pope is from working with the devil. So this is just only him doubling down.
Right.
All right, moving right along.
Got nothing to lose from it.
Okay. Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I was gonna say, any final thoughts on
Their
the
recruitment
post-baptized
numbers are
story?
really hurting. So
What if he
I think we
baptized?
can
What
get,
if
I
he
guess.
like so we know the movie Signs, right? Where you find out that the aliens' secret weakness is the secret weakness is water. What happens if the plot of that movie is they come and they ask the Pope? The Pope was like, "Oh, we must baptize one," and then like pours water over his head.
Well, if it's the aliens from Signs, I guess they're screwed. Don't even start me on that. I hate it so much. Like aliens that could travel, like have gotten the handle of interstellar travel, not being able to have the like sensor equipment to check that the planet that they're landing on is mostly poison to them is ridiculous to me. Like I refuse. It's not like the War of the Worlds thing where they got infected by a disease that was alien to them. That's a more understandable mistake. But just like the planet is mostly water. Like, I hate it so much. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wholly disagree with you here. I think it is exactly like War of the Worlds, because like, so you're saying that just because there's nothing in, like, science isn't linear, right? It's just because they discovered interstellar travel doesn't mean they've also discovered how to scan a planet for water, right? Like, we're not given that much information about these aliens in the thing. So, like, again, just because they can travel from one planet to another does not mean they have the full capacity to scan a planet and identify all the materials on it. So, like, that science isn't necessarily linear. So that is not necessarily a theory that holds up about why the plot of that bad movie is bad. It's bad for a bunch of reasons. Number two, the same logic, so you're applying different logic to War of the Worlds. So you're saying, oh, it's different from War of the Worlds. That's a more sophisticated scanner. They must have, so science is bad, but not because of that. I mean, that's a...
Being able to detect microbes and being able to, like, tell that a planet is mostly deadly to you. I just don't think you get to interstellar travel without having the ability to tell when something is hugely dangerous to you. Like,
I'm so happy this came up, because I've been really holding on to this take for a long time, and it doesn't really come up naturally that much anymore.
Yeah,
but no,
I didn't expect it to happen during this Pope segment. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand like where you're coming from here, but again, like, nothing says that one has to happen before the other. So you can get to, like, point A to point B. Travel and like scanning are different levels of technology. Like, they don't necessarily have to link together that well. You don't know; they could be dumb. Like, they're just forging ahead.
Logic and reason necessary to get to interstellar travel dictate that you would be able to advance scout a new planet. Sorry.
That's okay. So we have some input from the chat. So Rodeo Doctor says they didn't have windows in the spaceship, so that's true. They might not necessarily have seen the Earth with their eyes.
They hadn't invented windows yet.
The fabulous Diana Van Farley says maybe they didn't realize they were allergic to water until they got there, right? Maybe it had something to do with the different chemistry of the Earth. So,
right.
The point of the movie, the reason the movie sucked is because it was made poorly and by a hack.
And Mel Gibson
and the twist isn't bad because it makes no sense scientifically. It's bad because it's just like Deus Ex Machina. It's like, oh, well, the aliens were allergic to water.
It's my least favorite of his movies that I've seen, for sure.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the tree one?
No.
No, neither have I. No, I
heard it was super terrible, though.
I also like
the Happening. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen The Happening. I think the twist
I am a Village apologist.
I think that's like a good twist. That's what. Yeah,
I like the idea of it. Seems like it was done kind of dumb, though. But I don't know. I'll give it a shot sometime.
I'm gonna die on the hill of the alien water thing, and Signs isn't as simple as everyone thinks. So anyway, we spent a lot of time on Signs, much more than anticipated. So let's move forward to another favorite topic, Bigfoot, squatching. A little squatching going on.
Back to squatching. simpler times.
So Bigfoot, many are saying this, hearing this more and more, that Bigfoot is real and he tried to eat my ass. So classic meme by the venerable It's Animated Text. Highly recommend checking out her archives and seeing what else she brought into the world. So Bigfoot, somebody suggested we do a little update on Bigfoot. And if you remember when we did our Bigfoot show, we talked a lot about the Bigfoot shows, right? How these productions try to like really use a lot of production tricks and storytelling techniques to make you think that they've actually seen Bigfoot. So since we last discussed this topic, a new show like that has come out. It is called the Bigfoot Expedition Bigfoot on the Travel Channel. It was their banner show Sunday night, December 8th. Happy birthday to me.
By the way,
night at 10 p.m.
Oh yeah, it's your birthday month coming up.
Yeah, this show came out like December 8th, 2019. This show came out, and if you can remember the before
it was
time,
last year.
Yeah, it was on for 8 Sundays in a row at 10 p.m. And for those of you who watch TV, you know that Sundays at 10 p.m. is when HBO puts on their their banner show. So like
right.
Every nerd is occupied. So piss poor thinking there. But
people watch everything on demand now. By the way, a lot more lasers involved in hunting Bigfoot than I would have expected.
Well, they got to set like traps, man, like the laser tripwires, right? And the fog, like Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Second week in a row we talked about Mission Impossible, by the way.
Yeah, I did not see this show at all. I was
no. Diana says there is. And I think she's correct. There's not much for the Travel Channel to talk about right now. So very good point. But this was in 2019 that it came out. So you have to bear with us. So Expedition Bigfoot. A little bit about the show. This guy on the left here, Bryce. Bryce Campbell? So it reminds me of Bruce Campbell. Bryce Campbell. He's like an actor.
Good mnemonic.
He's on like a bunch of WB shows. You know, handsome, kind of charismatic guy. He's the lead guy. You got Token Woman, who I don't really know much about, and guy on the right seems to serve as kind of like, utility dude. And the gray-haired guy. So I was looking up a little bit about the show. Gray-haired guy, what he does, he is the show's token Bigfoot believer. Like, he loves Bigfoot, right? He is so
a true
all about
squatcher.
Bigfoot. Yeah, he's a true squatcher to the point where when you look up the show, and I encourage you to do this when you Google it, it shows like the people in the show, and when you Google it, and you see their names and their headshots. His headshot is actually the cover of his book, one of his books, and the book is basically Bigfoot fan fiction. About like an outdoorsman like him who gets trapped in the forest and like lives among the Bigfoot. And you can't make this shit up, man.
Like Roosevelt, right?
And then, so you got to think like this is the guy that they're on TV trying to get you to convince you that Bigfoot is real, right? So hopefully this next part works. So I brought up a clip. So this is Bryce Campbell. He went on some morning show in like Denver or some shit to talk about the show. So watch how we talked about this last week. So we talked about how everybody has cameras now, but the level of like UFO sightings and sightings stays the same. So the host of the show asks him this, and watch how he spins it in such a way that makes you want to watch the show, right? So let's go see if this works. And we might have to fast forward a little bit here. So yeah, let's just fast forward to about 45, 50 seconds here. So sorry, I don't know how to do this. All right.
You can get that volume louder?
Maybe.
I'm not hearing it.
Oh, whoops. Well, hopefully everybody else hears it, and if they don't, sorry.
It's very quiet.
All right, so we'll forget this fucking experiment. We'll do that better. we'll fix that in post. So for those of you who couldn't hear, which seems like everybody, Sasquatch, unvaccinated Sasquatch goblin. Fucking pin that as a meme name. So what he says, so she asks him point blank, like, what? Well, don't people have cameras now? And he said, well, you better. That's the subject of episode 7 of our 8-episode show. We think we have footage on a UV camera, so you got to watch to find out. So, like, when confronted with the real question, he spins it into like a promo, which is again like furthers that all this shit is like
that's
super fake.
The whole grift, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of credibility away from really the thing here. So,
and from the real cryptozoologists out there, you know.
Oh, so everybody can't hear officially. So we will share that link out on the our YouTube description when we get to this, and everybody looks at it and is just like totally fucking making fun of us and turning the show off. So anyway, moving on. Any final thoughts on Bigfoot for now? Let me say not final thoughts.
Just that he's real and he ate my ass.
Yeah, man. So we wanted to we talked a little bit about this before.
I love this illustration.
Yeah, so because of course the president and potentially the vice president and you know everyone's positive coronavirus, you know, and the president could die, you know, really any second now, and that happens. But you know they were floating out the idea of doing the next week's debate, which coincidentally enough happens when the show is on next week. So we'll have to figure out how to involve that. And stay tuned for our live election night stream, all night stream on election night. Feel free to join. We'll send up the Zoom link. Anyone can jump on. We'll have a great time. So,
well, he's already said he refuses to do it.
Right. Which takes a lot of, because you know it really makes because people think that this shit is going to happen. What I'm about to talk about, and we're going to talk about how it might actually happen, right? So for those of you who don't know what deepfake is, it's actually they use like really sophisticated computers and artificial intelligence to basically trick you into thinking that somebody is on camera saying something that they're not, basically making a fake video of them that looks so real that you think that it's real, right? And
or that even the audio is real, but the person saying it has changed from the actual person that was saying it originally.
Right. Yeah, you can do a lot of things, which we'll show an example of in a second. So one of the fears of having a virtual debate is what's stopping them from just throwing up a Joe Biden or a Donald Trump deepfake. And because, you know, the way this works, and we'll get to it in a second, is you can really just have somebody talking and it's controlling a video of someone's mouth, essentially, on a deepfake. So, love the graphic, of course. So, deepfake, we'll show an example. You see here Amy Adams from the movie Man of Steel, and on the right is them deepfaking Nicolas Cage's face onto Amy Adams. So
it's really
an idea of how
a shame that she beat him out for that role.
Controversies all around, right? She really rankled production, allegedly. But and many people have seen this on like Instagram lately, where you can actually face app yourself onto anybody. Like everyone's been doing it with the WAP video. Like I think somebody put like Ben Shapiro's face on like Cardi B to make fun of him, right? So it's really easy to use and manipulate. Is my point. And then for those of you, again, this is actually going back a couple of years. So this technology has really, you know, since we were last together, really taken off. So in 2018, at the end of 2018, there was a famous video where Jordan Peele actually did a deep fake of Obama. So there's an incredibly convincingly real video of Obama saying things that he, including Killmonger was right, calling President Trump a dipshit.
Well, I mean, he was.
And then, right. No, not untrue statements.
Right.
Actually, but I mean,
but somewhat controversial.
That's why that movie's so good. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. But so it pulls away and you see Jordan Peele mouthing, like speaking as an impression of Obama while this video plays. So it's really not outside the realm of incredibly rich campaigns to put deep fakes of their people on the air. So, do you think that's something real, Jay? Like, do you think that they would even do that, or they would really put the fucking geriatric president on Zoom?
I don't know that they haven't already done it.
Right? Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, they're on
you
TV.
wouldn't.
I guess people attend the debate live, right?
Well, I think they should just go full on like virtual YouTube streamer and just have like very kawaii avatars and like, you know, try to relate to the Zoomer crowd.
They could put a shark. Going back to the shark thing from before, they could put like a shark emoji head on him.
Oh right, or just make him a street shark.
They play Baby Shark. They lock up.
Or he could have Ben Garrison design a virtual avatar for him. Like, I think, you know, they're trying to convince you that what you're seeing is real through computer manipulation, and I think you should go totally the other direction.
Totally in the opposite
and just
direction,
use as much augmented reality as possible.
Hey man, be careful what you wish for. Somewhere just now, a monkey's paw girl.
Cyberpunk 2077 coming November.
Dude, what's the 2077? What's different about crime? What makes you a criminal? Getting caught, man. Keanu Reeves, dude. Can't wait.
I'm very.
Can't wait. I'm gonna need a fantasy world to spend like 200 hours in after this election.
Like either
I'm still not sick of the wasteland though.
Either out of like terror or relief, I guess. Either way, I'm going into a gaming coma.
Yeah,
with
man.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, we need you now more than ever. So,
also, while we're on the topic of digital manipulation, I assume you've seen a lot of the buzz today about Trump sharing a video where he was talking about the benefits of the drug cocktails that he was given and how he was going to get them to seniors for free. And we're going to be doing that soon, he says. But it appears that he's talking from the lawn of the White House. But immediately people that work in the industry are like, this is a green screen video, like for sure. Like, look at the looping of the trees in the background. And you can see they loop like every, 6 or 7 seconds or 17 seconds maybe. But like, people who work in film manipulation, and they were like, oh, that's a green screen. I don't know where he is, but he's not on the front lawn of the White House. And if you look at the scale of it, he would be only slightly larger than like a garden gnome, so they're already trying to convince you he's speaking from places that he's not.
Can't fake it. Honestly, you kind of can't fake anything. There's too many sleuths. Like the people at Kotaku who determined that Luigi's penis was a certain length, and then were therefore able to determine that
calculate
Bowser was a certain height. Certain thing. Trump lied about something. Get out of here, Diana says. I also have a comment that The Fly was definitely a deep fake. The Fly could have been a deep fake, absolutely.
It could have been, but the thing about the green screen situation is like it wasn't. Did he really lie? Like it's just a weird thing to do. Just do a video in a room, like it's fine.
Yeah, just do it
but of course,
right. You're
the question, the big question that the idea of using deepfakes brings up is what if he dies and they use deepfakes to like keep us thinking that he's still alive, like get a very good impressionist, like just put the deep fake face on them and have them do the speeches.
Like fucking Frank Caliendo is on there.
Yeah, or Anthony
for work. Football shut down by then or something.
Adamiak? Is that? I can never get his last
name
right.
Who knows?
But the guy who did the Trump Sanders tour with James Adomian as Sanders.
Oh,
like the guy that's opposite him. He's the best impressionist of Trump I've ever seen. He's very
perfect.
And
he's probably needs money. They would pull a dump truck full of money up to his house.
Yeah, exactly. Or
all right.
force him to do it under duress.
Anyway, so that's kind of what's going on with deepfake. More to come. We'll have to see what happens for the debate next week. We'll be watching it all together. The gamer dude 420 plans on asking for a leave of absence from work when Cyberpunk 2077 comes out with that new
This
the
is
new
now a
graphics processor,
Cyberpunk
baby.
2077 stream.
Hell yeah, gamers know. Anyway, so big news from today, Jay. As broken here from the hell dude. Wanna sum this up and we'll take it from there.
Okay. So there is a number of gentlemen who are involved in a militia group, but which, by the way, when I was doing research for this, I found out there are currently dozens of active militia groups in Michigan. Apparently, it's like a hotbed for officially formed militia groups. So it's one of them, and name of Wolverine Watchmen, that put together a very complicated plot to kidnap members of the government in the Michigan state government, including Gretchen Whitmer, the governor, and overthrow the state government. And actually, the eventual plan was to execute her for treason before the election. But they also had, there was other element like terrorism elements of the plan, including, and this was surprising to me, targeting local law enforcement officers at their homes with harassment. And they planted, or I haven't been able to get the exact detail if it happened or if it was just planned to be happened and they were in possession of the explosives, but there was a plan to bomb a bridge in order to distract local law enforcement so that they could kidnap these members of the government. The FBI had informants work in apparently Facebook message groups, like just private Facebook groups that the FBI infiltrated and was able to know about this plan way beforehand.
Whoa,
and they've been getting ready to.
What happens if the FBI infiltrates the gay steel mill?
Then we're the gay steel militia, you mean?
Yeah, the gay steel militia. I'm sorry. Yeah, but now I'm even more horrified. Yeah.
Yes. Hello, NSA. I think the lesson to learn from that is if you're planning any kind of assault on the government, maybe like use Signal instead of Facebook chat.
Yeah,
because the FBI will be there. And also, if you're putting together a team of guys that are planning on domestic terrorism, there's going to be an FBI guy there every time. Start thinking about who it is, and if you figure it out before it's time to carry the plans out, you might have a chance. But like at least one of those, it's like Among Us. Like there's an imposter. One of these guys is an FBI agent. But it's
100% done, by the way.
I mean, we joke about it, but this is the sort of escalation that I'm like really scared is going to happen a lot after, like post-election, regardless of the outcome of the election.
Oh yeah. There's lots of scary stuff to come.
Guarantee you, some of these militia people are either members or adjacent to the Proud Boys or the Boogaloo Boys, and because there was a lot of talk apparently in these Facebook groups that they were chatting in about forcing another civil war that causes societal collapse. Like that was their main goal, was to start a civil war, and that's the Boogaloo Boys. That's their whole thing, and the Proud Boys, I'm pretty sure, would be psyched on it too.
It's all the same shit, man. So in case you were wondering what these dudes look like, this is the four guys.
They have that haircut and that.
They have two of them have that one haircut. I love it. Like,
almost play Sheldon.
The two dudes in the middle, like even before you see their name, are obviously brothers, right? And just because they're all wearing like prison jumpsuits in these pictures, so they're all like dressed the same. But Adam Fox, man, look at this dude. Like this dude looks like you fucking like were making a character in like a fucking video game, and you're doing like, and you fucking like had a stroke, and you like slipped up like this, and you fucking pulled the guy's chin like all the way.
Like, oh no, I put way too much in cheeks.
I put so much in chin. Yeah. Ooh. It looks like you got looks like you got like bitten by like something that's got him all puffed up. But you know, well, he's in jail now. So
also, if you're
you mentioned
he's the guy that if you're the model for like an NPC, if you're playing, you know, some game that's trying to have some sort of social commentary, and this guy's gonna, you know, do something really racist in the storyline.
Yeah. This guy's definitely like Diamond City. This guy's definitely Diamond City security, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, so you mentioned before targeting law enforcement, and I've always thought just pile on to the rest of the hypocrisy of, you know, the modern right. You know, we talk about Cliven Bundy from the ranch, right? You know, anti-government militia guy, you know, Tea Party libertarian guy, who recently came out in support of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Because he said that the enemy is the police, is the government, right?
I gotta say, like, money where his mouth is, like, he has these principles, and we make assumptions about that his principles are maybe based in racism, or like, because a lot of these groups, that is absolutely the case. And you're like, yeah, you say you have these very libertarian views, but it's really like you hate poor people and Black people. And then like Cliven Bundy, like, I gotta say, stand up for people.
The other funny thing, like, and also
they have a right to live without being afraid of being murdered by law enforcement.
Gotta hand it to him. But he,
you absolutely do
the
not.
The thing I think about often is that from when they had that standoff at his ranch, 2 people, like Tea Partiers, left that ranch and drove to Las Vegas and killed cops. They killed 2 cops in their car out of cold blood. And no one, like, this is one of those things like no one ever talks about, right? Like when it's just, you know, hypocrisy all around. So what riles up a guy like this, right? Because earlier this year,
I am glad that in this case they're charging these men with terrorism, like with actual terrorism charges.
Just like they charged the cop who killed the guy in, what was it, in Texas, JC something or other. They're charging the cop with murder. Pretty swiftly charged him with murder. Yeah. So this guy, you know, you hear it again, pillar of the community, this Black guy, pillar of the community, great guy. Everybody loved him. He was breaking up a domestic dispute at a gas station, and the cops were called because of the dispute before he was there. And the cops tasered him, and then when he was tasered, he like reacted in such a way that made the cop, you know, shoot him and kill him. So, but of course, the only time the cop gets put up for murder is when it's just like they won't even convict him. We'll see what happens, but you know, at least we're steering in that direction. You know, yeah, exactly. So there's just been a spate of like these tubby white dudes. No offense to tubby white dudes everywhere, but like just like throwing action Commando. Yeah, we like going on like watching too much Commando. 35th anniversary Commando this week, by the way.
Led off Steve Bennett.
Shout out Sean Partovich. You know, these guys are go full Commando, and then these guys earlier this year, if you remember, tried to infiltrate Venezuela and stage a coup with like this like 10-person mercenary
and like a box truck
of just like ex-military dudes that says that every one of the dudes from the first line are going to be played by Josh Brolin in the movie. It's going to be like poor Josh Brolin.
They'll use that CGI face technology, man. They'll just put them on 4 different bodies.
Well, on 4 different bodies, like they did with Baker Mayfield in the football commercials. So anyway, the larger point is you know, I want to bring this home here, is that something's riling up these white dudes. So like you look at earlier this year, you had in Michigan, the same governor. This is the governor's state house in Michigan, where this guy, coincidentally enough, with a marijuana leaf on his his
voted for legalization.
Yeah, legalize it, baby.
In New Jersey. Legalize it, man.
Oh, you did? I'm gonna vote in person. I decided on election day. I'm gonna fucking do it.
I don't know that you can.
No, you totally can. Yeah, we did it for the primary. No, you can. Why would they send only people with disabilities out in the pandemic?
Okay. Well, I dropped it directly at the municipal.
Oh yeah, yeah. I may do that as well, but I'm thinking I'm just going to vote. I want my little sticker, man. I voted every election, and only
you all
specifically
may
to
remember there was a big news item, and it was talked about for weeks, and still gets mentioned occasionally, about how there was because it was during the time when a lot of Black Lives Matter protests were going on and were under like harsh fire from the media. And then these guys stormed the state house in Michigan with like assault rifles,
armed, open carry state. Yep.
They don't tear gas them. They don't use rubber bullets. They don't even like use harsh words, I think. Like that's the sort of event that emboldens these guys, and I can guarantee you that these guys that were arrested today were at one of the armed protests at the Michigan State House.
Of course, they have to have been. I wouldn't be surprised for a second if that came out. I guarantee it, of course. I'm thinking here, sitting here, looking at this picture further, just wishing that I had photoshopped it to be like this guy in front of like a crowd at a show. Like this guy looks like he's like, yeah, he's like singing, like he's like the lead. He's like what's it, Damien from Fucked Up. Yeah. Just get these cops out of the way and put just like a bunch of sweaty fat dudes in front of them.
Or you just put like a microphone in front of them and like the Cro-Mags on the other side or something.
Yeah. Oh, we should talk about JJ next week. We're gonna run out of time this week.
Okay, we'll get
to JJ's insanity. Yeah, he's OK Boomer Family Guy first. Legendary. So anyway, these guys got riled up in Michigan before, and that was over the masks, right? And over the mask, they didn't want to wear masks. They thought the masks weren't effective, and a lot of these people are being fooled.
And I'll bet you those protests are when the FBI first infiltrated them too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So a lot of this hysteria about anti-masks and stuff like that, anti-vax, comes from YouTube, obviously, and the big centerpiece around that was from COVID. Earlier this year was
move on to this.
Before we move on to pandemic,
I would like to say one more thing about the Michigan situation. One of the oddest things that I noticed when I was there we go. One of the oddest things I noticed when I was quickly researching it, because this news broke today, was that all of the men involved in the terrorism plot that were arrested were all from Michigan, except one from Delaware. And I'm like wondering if that guy orchestrated
the FBI guy?
Like the whole thing. Yeah, is that the FBI guy? Like they're arresting him because he's going to continue to be undercover in prison. But no, it seems it's odd to see just the one guy from across the country involved in this possible terrorist plot, and I'm wondering like if there are cells that are interconnected, and that's the sort of shit that really scares me.
Yeah, or maybe it's just like, I hate to use the term lone wolf, but it could always be just like four dudes, and some dude from Delaware just ended up on like a fucking Michigan Proud Boys fucking message board or something, or a Facebook group. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna come. I'm with you all the way, brother. Drives from Newark, Delaware to
liberate Michigan
overnight. Yeah, liberate Michigan. Yeah, someone's so inspired.
In the words of our brave wet president.
I'm the bravest, the wettest.
Okay, so now we can move on. Sorry.
Plandemic. So the big centerpiece of the COVID conspiracies, of which there are, of course, numerous, was Plandemic. So if you don't know what Plandemic is, it's actually a two-part YouTube documentary. This is actually the logo for the second part, Plandemic Indoctrination. It is a video about how, a lot of things about COVID, mostly whipped up a lot of hysteria. A lot of people spread, millions of people watched this and were really influenced by it. So, the central tenets of Plandemic are as such. So we're going to go through a little list of Plandemic claims. So central claims of Plandemic, the number one thing that they talk about is that there's a world medical cabal led by Dr. Fauci that created the coronavirus in Wuhan. So there's the genetic weapon conspiracy rolled into this to get rich off of vaccines. So they wanted to get rich off of selling the COVID vaccine. So they wanted to get people sick so they could extract the money from them. That was a money-making scheme. So that's the central conceit of it, right? One of the other central conceits of it is that masks activate the coronavirus. And Jay, what do you think they mean by activate the coronavirus?
Well, if it's a designer disease, then there's got to be, unless you want it to spread to people that you don't want it to spread to, there's got to be some sort of activating catalyst, right? So you make a designer disease and you put something in the DNA of that virus that only activates when it comes into contact with some other chemical, perhaps like another virus that like activates it, or bacteria, or like whatever. And so I guess the idea is they just treat all of these masks. I don't know. Did you watch Plandemic?
I did not, but I have read a significant amount about it, and you're almost there. So you're totally almost there.
I have not watched it yet. Yeah, there
is this activation
putting off for a day when I feel like being angry.
Yeah, but I wasn't even about it. Maybe we can watch it together. We can do a commentary of it on stream eventually. We have a long winter ahead of us.
That's a great idea.
So the funny thing about this is that the idea behind this is that everybody already has the coronavirus from their flu vaccines years prior, and the masks actually activate it, which stands in contrast to the first
I was
point,
close.
Which is that you were applying what we like to call internal logic, of which this argument and documentary has none. So
that's
not
one of the only things that I have heard about.
Yeah. So not only does it not stand up to scrutiny in the basic way, but it also doesn't even follow its own. It doesn't even follow a logic pattern of its own. And so, straight to, as far as I'm concerned. Number 3 is a big one, that Italy was only hard hit by coronavirus because their flu vaccine was grown in dog cells. So because the untrue claim, this is how wild this movie gets, right? It's totally nonsense. Obviously completely untrue. Another one was that by going to the beach, actually there's no reason to close the beaches, and not that there's no reason to close the beaches because, you know, we can limit their attendance and keep people socially distant outside and it's relatively safe, but in that going to the beach is actually healthy for you because there's microbes and quote unquote sequences that exist at the beach that heal you from coronavirus.
What is that?
More people should actually be going to the beach. And it's a sequence. They're little things. They're things in the sand. I don't know.
DNA sequence?
Yep, DNA sequence that exists in the sand through microbes. Special DNA sequence. See, you're flabbergasted because it, in fact, it doesn't make no sense. So
we need to.
And then finally,
do a whole thing
on classic this. One, of course. Yeah, a classic one, of course, is vaccines don't work and they kill people, which is, of course, the bedrock of many. Modern
all of the evidence that supports that.
Yeah. So who makes a movie like this, right? So, the movie is actually made by this woman, Dr. Judy Mikovits, bravely exposing the criminal activity at the top of the medical world. So I did a little research on Miss.
Always think very highly of themselves.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Bravely exposes.
So brave. So Dr. Mikovits, who is in fact a doctor, she before she almost exclusively dealt in selling and making documentaries about coronavirus, which seems to be her cash cow now. I found this incredibly interesting. So she was actually. So the chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a thing that people have, which is they don't understand. It's one of those medical things that people don't understand. She was convinced that chronic fatigue syndrome was caused by this very specific environmental factor that came from that she can kind of pin on the government or pin on big corporations, to the point where she actually wrote a paper about it for a research journal she worked for in 2009 that was so inaccurate that she got fired from the research facility, right? And the reason she was so hung up on the chronic fatigue syndrome piece is because her daughter had it. So we have a classic example, very much like our Mongolians or some of those those diseases, there's the stuff we talked about in our show about chemtrails. Yeah, Morgellons. Here's a woman who became so obsessed with curing this disease that her perspective shifted into thinking that this thing was true, and then of course attempting to prove it while already thinking she knew the outcome. And then of course, naturally 11 years later, she's peddling, nonsense pseudoscience, right? So it's interesting to see how.
You think she's a true believer, or do you think she's a grifter?
I don't think she's a grifter. I think that there's a section of people who are so emotionally invested in finding answers for things and finding out about what causes these problems that affect them really deeply, that they're willing to put the blinders on, right? And when somebody becomes so neutralized by that over the years, they're easily going to fall into more and more ridiculous things, right? And fall into these flat earths, right? These plandemics, all of this stuff. You always have these credentialed people. Think about the demon semen woman, the Satan sperm woman. We didn't even talk about her. We can do a whole episode on,
we didn't even get to her.
Demon sex.
We
got to talk about the alien sperm.
She was a quick flash in the pan because she it advocated for the use of the I never say it right, hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, we'll talk about shortly between now and then.
So she was in and out so fast.
Yeah. She could be a prominent figure for between now and our next episode. The president has died, and we have to point to all the ways in which he's failed us.
And this woman has brought him back to life. And here's proof of that in this video that we produced. So is she the type of conspiracy theory documentary doctor who is not really a doctor but puts doctor before her name, or does she have a doctorate in something unrelated to what she's discussing?
She's a doctor of chemistry. She's a legit doctor, which is why I think she's not like a grifter. So I don't think this is she's maybe the type of person who could be like tricked onto like going on Alex Jones' show, but I don't think she's like somebody who's specifically going to grift people into like buying brain pills. She's
because there is, like the doctor always touted by the anti-vax community as like the guy that did papers that proved vaccines cause autism was like a podiatrist. So it's like he was like, oh, I'm Dr. I can't remember his name, but like Dr. John Smith, and it's like, oh, doctor of like foot diseses, like not like
I'm a doctor of
microbiology. Like, yeah.
Boom. All right. So here now is exactly why before the debate, we got to get this sound thing figured out, which I think will be good.
Yes.
I think we'll probably just stream the debate.
And I can share sound. That would be ideal. So we'll try to figure that out this week.
As long as one of us shows whole, I think that's Now, I'm disappointed in the chat for nobody asking us to show whole. But you guys have kept it going for a while, so I appreciate all of you being here. And so that brings us to the end, Jay. Any final thoughts as I bring it back to the two of us here?
I wish things would slow down.
me and you both, man. I think we both found the secret to that, which is devote all of our waking hours to #gaming.
So if the superstition is to hold true, that after we do a stream, some major political figure gets diagnosed with COVID overnight, then I guess it'll be Pence tonight.
It's gotta be Pence. Yeah.
Tara woke me up.
I mean, it hasn't.
My wife.
It hasn't come up in the chat, but the Trump hasn't died since we've gone on air. So
right. Yet. Or has he? And was that a deep fake on a green screen that was posted earlier today?
A gnome-sized green deep fake. Somebody in production is like, you made him the size of a gnome.
But yeah, if my wife wakes me up with news that Pence has COVID at 4 a.m. once again after this stream is completed, then we have to stream every week without fail.
Yeah.
So we have to keep
every day
cursing
Fuck
people
it.
with COVID.
We just gotta continue to. We could be the saviors we're looking for.
Maybe
that's
that's
funny
what
that you say that, because my wife
That's
woke
the-
me up to tell me about Trump getting COVID as well.
Oh,
I had
middle of the
fallen
night.
asleep
Yeah.
doing a crossword puzzle. Yeah, at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, just like comes in, turns the light on, like, ah.
Maybe
got
our live stream
Trump's got
is
the
the
Rona.
catalyst that sets off their COVID. That's the
Oh, hell
sleeper COVID that's been waiting in their system for years.
Wonderful. I
All
can
right.
only hope. So, all right, Jay. Well, good pleasure as always. Thank you, everybody, for following, for chatting. Really appreciate you. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Check us out. Subscribe, like, please. We love the support. We don't ask for a lot. We're out here. We want to do it for you
Please
every week.
give us
So,
suggestions of things you'd like to hear about.
yeah, anything you want to hear about, we'll keep it up on Instagram. So stay tuned, stay woke, and we'll see you next week. Thanks as always. Boom.